Hello, listeners. We are excited to welcome you on the very first episode of When You Meet a Leader. I'm your host, Vasudha Sharma. I am the number one best-selling author of my book, Why She Must Lead. I'm also a leadership strategist, speaker, and a wellness expert. Today, I have with me our terrific guest, Tiffani Patlan. She is the best-selling author of Unlocking Your Ability to Heal, a self-improvement teaching memoir for trauma survivors, teens, and parents. After spending over a decade successfully implementing holistic methods into her own life, Tiffany now helps others as a self-healing specialist to create real lifelong changes in all areas of their lives. Welcome, Tiffany.
Hi, Vasudha. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we are so excited that you are on our show, and I have had the opportunity to read your book. It's a amazing book, and I have lots of questions for you in today's show to help our listeners uh, you know clarify why your book is definitely the bestseller. So the first question I want to ask about is, what is your book about?
Well, my book is a teaching memoir, and it basically shares my personal story of surviving a lifetime of trauma. And the whole point of that is to inspire others to want to heal from their own traumas that they may have experienced. I've also included journaling exercises at the end of each chapter so readers can resonate and engage, so that way they can start their own healing. I've also included scientific research and statistics, which is very helpful to build one's knowledge of symptoms that can manifest from trauma, just how common it is around the world, and just, the importance of it, of why we need to do something about it. And my most favorite part of the book is the self-care section that I have in the back of the book. And that's because it shares holistic healing methods for each key area, which is for your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health, so you can get well. Because that is my philosophy, that when you focus in all three areas, that's when you bring the human body into alignment. And that's when you start unlocking your ability to heal. Hence the name of my book.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say, very, very true for what you have mentioned. We all have that ability. The title says it all. We have to find the ways to unlock it. And, with all the exercises you have mentioned, I am very sure, all our readers of the book has experienced the same journey which you have tried to share in the book. So yeah, kudos to you. That's amazing. But I'm very curious. What made you want to write this book?
Well, thank you, first of all. But what made me want to write the book was being so grateful to stumble on the fact, the idea that, hey, you can actually heal. We all have, like you just said, we all have this amazing innate ability to heal ourselves. Just like when we get a cut on our arm, this is physical, our body heals itself. Well, we can do the same thing with our mental health. We just don't always know how to do that because it's not something that's, you know, taught around the world as much as it should be. And the same thing goes with our spiritual health. And so that's really why I wanted to write this book. I knew for the past 10 years that I had been wanting to get my story out in the world. But back then it was like, you know what? I've been through so much crap in my life. I should just put it in a book. That should be entertaining. But in writing my book and with my amazing book coach, our amazing book coach, Christine Gale, I finally learned that, the book wasn't really for me. It was for the world. And through my writing, I started realizing even more that my story, my life, everything that I endured was for a reason. It was for a purpose. So now I get to turn something that I believed my entire life was so dark into something so beautiful. And that's to inspire other people to start their own healing journey. Because I have been through so much trauma in my life. I've experienced an array of abuse in a little bit of every form. And I feel like that kind of helps me to be able to better resonate with other people, because we've all gone through some sort of trauma on some sort of level, substance abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. There's so many different things that we've been exposed to. And if we're not taught, like I wasn't, how to honor our emotions and how to process events, painful, traumatic events as they occur, we end up burying those in our subconscious mind. And that is where our identity is comprised from, meaning that's like how we respond to people, how we think, how we react to everyday situations. And I want people to be more aware of that, who might not know, like I did not know. I did not grow up learning self-worth, self-value, the power of my voice. There's so many different things I didn't learn. So as I went through this healing journey, it was so important for me to put everything that I've learned that has worked well for me and others inside this book. So it's just chock full of information. And I'm so grateful for the space I'm in. I just want to give and give and give. I basically want to shine my newfound light as bright as I can to lead the way for other trauma survivors, so they can find their own path of healing, because I believe everyone deserves to live in the light.
Wow, that's so powerful. I am so happy that you took this step because, as you said, this book was meant for world, and that itself is a very, very powerful thing to do, to have that realization, have that vision, and yes, kudos to the coach, our coach, Christine Gale. I have always appreciated her mentorship and guidance. So I really uh, admire that you have felt the need to share such an important aspect. And that is so true. In the modern world, we live so many lives in one day, and we go through so many array of emotions, and it is hard. Nobody teaches us how to handle all in one,
Exactly.
and and be on top of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That peer pressure is constantly there. So how do you heal from that? How do you heal from this daily stress? And I think your book is very much needed in the modern times, especially. So I commend you for doing this and sharing it. And this is amazing. So I'm just curious. Looks like you have, shared a lot of personal examples, and how you have encountered pain, and you said that you didn't get an opportunity to find those tools. You had to discover it yourself. Um, but did you ever try therapy, and did it help you?
I did. In the very beginning, I was younger. I thought my abuse started, you know, at 11 years old, when I was incestuously raped by my 23-year-old cousin, but that wasn't when it started. In writing my book, I learned that it actually started as far back as I can remember, because I was being raised in a toxic environment with parents that were mentally ill, but nobody was aware of any of that. So later on, getting in trouble, getting picked up because I was homeless, out on the streets, there would be court-ordered therapy, court-ordered counseling that they would make me do. And I remember just being so angry as a young girl, because nobody believed me. Nobody listened to me. Nobody helped me. Nobody was protecting me. Nobody was making sure that this never happened again. So when I would come across these counselors, I would just be really, really mad and really, really angry, because I had so much trauma built up and I had no way to heal. So I was very angry, and none of that worked because I was not ready. I didn't understand. It's like, why am I going to listen to somebody else when nobody's listening to me? So I was very, very angry. But as the years went on, I'm talking about like this was through my teens, then my 20s, and well into my 30s. I finally came to the realization that, you know what, if it's true, then I'm, because my husband at one point kind of told me in a very harsh way, the flaws, if you will. He went about it the wrong way, but I'm so grateful that he did this. He basically told me all the ways that I am, which weren't pretty. And I thought to myself, you know what? If there's an inkling of truth to this, I'm going to do something about it because I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that person. I was very needy, very clingy, very possessive. And I know that all of that stemmed from my trauma. And there's a lot more there. And I knew that I needed to do something about this, and I didn't really know what it was. My brother-in-law knew a woman. Her name was Holly, and I went to go see her. She was a woman, and I saw her, and I talked to her about a couple things here and there, but there's nothing that I can honestly say that I can remember that I left saying, you know what, I got this in my toolbox, and now I can go XYZ. Like, I never got that. And then, further down in the future, my husband and I went to go see another counselor to, work on our marriage because we both came from, a painful past. So it was really important for us to not only focus on healing ourselves as individuals, but learning how to work together in our marriage. So when I saw this other counselor, it was really good. It was very helpful for my marriage, but I wouldn't say I got any true healing individually as a person from it. So I know that counseling and therapy has its place and it's great for people. It has worked for some people, but I didn't find that it worked well for me. And I think that's the other reason why this book is so powerful, because it helps you learn about your self-healing power that resides within you. And I don't tell people, hey, do this, go run, eat an apple, XYZ, because it doesn't matter. What matters is what's important to each person, because just like our trauma is unique to us, so is our healing. So it really, really, I feel like it's just so beneficial when we make the choice to choose to self-heal, because we know ourselves the best. It's just like with muscle testing. That works because you're basically communicating with your own subconscious. You're not communicating with the outside world because the pain that you've experienced is not in the outside world. It's inside of you. That's where all the answers are. So that's why I really think that self-healing is the way to go. Not that therapy and counseling doesn't work for others, but, I might be a little biased here, but hey.
Yeah, well, I think that's well said. This is, a very common thing to hear. You can bring a horse to water, but, you can't make the horse drink it. I mean, that's true.
Right.
Unless you have that gentle insight inside yourself, unless you create that thirst inside yourself, you have to, understand healing, how it applies to you. And, like you said, every trauma is unique, every healing is unique too. So I think that's a very, important message. And I really feel this is why your book is even more important, to help the readers understand that we all can come strong. We don't have to endure all the hurt, all the pain, just because we couldn't find the healing. We have a way, and we just have to find how to discover it in our own unique situation. So yeah, that's amazing. Well, I want to ask you one thing. Do you love music?
Oh, yes. I love music,
Well,
especially healing music.
I know, isn't it? I have a very, very special guest with me, as well. He is, my friend, and he has been a great, great rapper and, very well-known artist around this area. So, Rahul, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Vasudha, and hey, Tiffany. It's my pleasure to share my passion of music here. Talking about it. Hello, everyone. I am Rahul, also known as Lil Simpson. I'm a rapper, music producer, mix and mastering engineer here in the Seattle area. And since we're on the conversation of healing and not giving up, here's a song that I got for you. It's called Ziddi Dil by Vishal Dadlani. Let's get it.
Thank you, Rahul, for the song. I think this was definitely amazing, amazing combination of conversation with this music. So yes, beautiful. Thank you. So Tiffany, I am enjoying the conversation with you so much. I still have a few more questions to go, but I wanted to thank Rainier Avenue Radio for Radio World to host our show When You Meet a Leader. Thank you so much. And, my warm welcome back to all the audience and listeners of the radio station. So, resuming our conversation, we have with us is Tiffany Patlan, who is best-selling author of Unlocking Your Ability to Heal. We were talking about how we need to discover the power of healing inside ourselves. So, the next question I have is, um, how do you help people heal as a self-healing specialist?
Great question. So basically, like I mentioned, it's really all about finding what resonates with each person because we are all unique individuals. A lot of times people don't even realize that they have trauma that needs to be resolved and dealt with. They're just experiencing the aftermath of symptoms like excessive anxiety disorder or depression or OCD or PTSD, but they're just not aware of it. And some people are aware of it. They're very well aware of it. They can read off, I have this, I have that, and that's great. So there can be an array of people that come to me. And what I find is the most important thing is to focus on that, where you can identify that you would benefit from healing. Because, like I mentioned in my story, I didn't even realize that my healing journey needed to take place as far back as I can remember. So that's why doing what I like to have people do is a timeline, and it's of your entire life. And it's not something you could do in 5 minutes. It's like something that you really need to sit down and think about. Think about your past. Think about everything that comes to mind. So that way you can identify areas that would benefit from healing. So that's usually the first step. Then we go into your physical health, because your nutrition plays such a huge part on your health, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I mean, research is now coming out about the mind-body connection, but what I'm not seeing is the mind-body-soul connection. I see it separately everywhere, but it really goes together as a whole. At least that's been my own personal experience, as well as countless others that I've met out there. So we go into the physical health part with the nutrition, and I recommend people get a LCAT test done or a food sensitivity test, because we don't always know that the foods that we're eating could be wreaking havoc on our body. It could be creating the perfect opportunity for you to have, anxiety disorder. There's vitamins that you could be deficient on, and you might not even be aware of it. For example, vitamin D. As we come into the winter, if there is such thing as the winter blues, but if you also suffer from depression, that could be like a double whammy. Or it could, bring it back up where you thought that, it was gone. So, having your vitamin D is important, the sunlight, but how do you get sun? So there's a lot of little different things that go into that. But it's not just nutrition, it's also your fitness, because a stagnant body will promote disease. So it's very important to also get your body moving. And again, that's really unique to each person. For example, somebody who's overweight might not want to go run because, it'll hurt their joints, and that's understandable. So you know what? Swimming, the water would render them weightless. So that might be easier. Or maybe somebody, has a fear of water for some trauma that they experienced. Well, let's not go to the pool, let's do some walking. There's so many different opportunities. And then when it comes to your spiritual health, that as well comes in two parts, because it's important for us to heal the soul. The soul is our humanity that makes us feel emotions, and our spirit is our deeper connection with our higher power. So it's important to heal the soul and then to also enhance our spiritual connection. And these are all things that I've experienced in my own way. So what I like to do is help each individual person to find holistic methods that resonate with them, that work for them. Because I could tell them all day to do these things, but if it does not mean something, if it doesn't hit them, in their soul, then they're not going to do it. So it's very important. So each person that I meet, it's 100% customized to each person. And that's what it's all about, focusing on your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. And that's how you start unlocking your ability to heal.
Yes, yes, and yes. All three healths are so important. It's like the whole approach. So, I really, really admire your approach, the way you have taken this topic, especially in the modern times. So, we are almost coming towards the end of the show, and I feel like there is so much more to talk to you. But I'll sneak in one last question, Tiffany, and that is, can you share a golden nugget with our audience?
Oh, yes. My golden nugget would be you can implement today, tomorrow, and I call it my trifecta. And that's to pick one thing from each area. What I do is I make it a point to go outside every day. And that is an easiest, cheapest way to connect spiritually. And then I go outside to walk. So walking is check marking the physical health part. So my body is moving, and I already eat healthy on a regular basis. But then your mental health. When you're outside and you're connected spiritually, your vibration is so high. What better time than to state some affirmations which support your mental health? And I say anything that comes to mind, anything that I'm dealing with that day, especially giving gratitude for anything and everything each and every day. But that would be my golden nugget, is to just pick something in each key area, 3 things, and do them every day. And I promise you will see a change.
Awesome. So just quickly share with us, where can the listeners find you, find your book, and also where they can follow you?
If you go to tiffanipatlan.com, I have links to all the businesses that I run, everything that I'm doing, and the book can be purchased on Amazon. Or if you'd like to order a signed copy by me with a couple of extra gifts as my way of saying thank you, you can find me at unlockingyourabilitytoheal.com.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, congratulations one more time for
Thank
being the
you.
bestseller and coming on our show. And, we are so honored to have you. And it was amazing to listen to your, advice about healing and also, how to get that insight developed. So thank you for coming on the show. And, thank you to our listeners, and thank you, Rainier Avenue Radio World, for this opportunity to present When You Meet a Leader. Until next, take care. Bye.